with a chance to tie inside. Zion Williamson! Season-high 38 Williamson driving inside. You thought you saw him grimacing and in pain.
Well, he's headed to the locker room. We don't know the extent of the injury.
Oh, no! We suck again!
Many months later.
We've got breaking news out of the NBA. Pelicans star Zion Williamson will make his return tonight against the Timberwolves.
Now for DeJounte and almost taken away. It is taken away.
Uh-oh.
Showtime. Go for it.
The next day.
Meanwhile, New Orleans, Zion Williamson in a familiar spot on the bench in street clothes.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Zion Williamson undoubtedly is one of the most box office players in the NBA who can captivate an entire arena. Now, the obvious problem with Zion Williamson, he's rarely ever on the court healthy and a uniform. And for this guy, it's always something. He's either out of shape, overweight, dealing with some lingering injury, or he just flat out doesn't feel like playing. At this point, Zion not being available, I mean, it's almost commonplace, we're used to it, not surprised in the slightest. And honestly, the past year plus, I've seen this guy in street clothes more often than in actual uniform. That's how bad it's gotten. And looking at 2025, Zion Williamson has finally made his re-debut. As of course, he played a couple of games early on, then missed 27 straight games due to a hamstring injury. And of course, that injury was a holdover from last year versus the Lakers.
Oh my God! Oh, I can't go on.
Now, looking at Zion's return, his re-debut, he played a game versus the Timberwolves where he played fairly well and was kind of typical Zion, healthy Zion. Now, the kind of cruel twist and fate and irony, Zion the very next game, the very next night, a back-to-back, of course, missed that game, was not available. Look, for the Pelicans, I get it. You want to be careful treating with kid gloves, but this dude, he's almost 25 years old now in his 6th NBA season. At some point, take off the training wheels, let him loose. At this point, Zion Williamson, he almost needs rest days for his rest days to prepare for his next rest day.
Boom. Roasted.
And look at the Pelicans' overall team. If your best player, your young superstar, is missing games so often, so frequently, I mean, it's an ultimate team killer for chemistry, just bonding on the court and off the court. It's almost nearly impossible to win and be successful with a guy like Zion Williamson in your lineup. And look, to give the Pels some credit, they've been semi-competitive most years minus Zion. In this offseason, actually made a pretty decent trade, getting DeJounte Murray. Now, the newfound duo of DeJounte and Zion Williamson, they played a grand total of 1 game together.
Look, I'm gonna level with you, pal. We saw this coming a mile away.
In Murray's debut for the Pelicans, the first game of the season, of course, he was playing, but Zion wasn't. In typical Pelicans fashion, Murray the next 16 games would miss all those games not playing with Zion Williamson in a single matchup. The first time both Murray and Zion were healthy in the same game was versus Minnesota at the near halfway point of the NBA season. I mean, that right there is pretty pathetic. And looking at both those guys' contracts, I mean, getting paid boatloads of money to play half the games, a quarter of the games, sometimes none of the games. And to add insult to injury, the big three of Zion, Murray, and Ingram, which on paper looks pretty fantastic, they played a grand total of 0 games together, as Brandon Ingram, of course, has missed 14 straight games.
Oh, you did not see that one coming, did you, Grandpa?
A lot of NBA fans mention the Clippers curse, how they have so much bad luck, but looking at the Pelicans, I mean, it's beyond bad luck. This is like voodoo magic, something in the water, the elevation, is it the food? Honestly, I don't know, but it's downright frightening. And looking at the Pels head coach, that of course being Willie Green, I actually think this dude is a pretty decent head coach. And given the circumstances, has been pretty phenomenal. As in 4 years, is barely below 500 with 134 total wins. I mean, that on paper, the guy's coached for 4 years, under 500, hasn't won a playoff series. A lot of teams in a franchise would fire that guy on the spot. But for Green, there's a lot of context that is definitely missing. As of course, when he was hired in 2022, he didn't coach Zion in a game for his first full season as head coach.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
If any head coach in sports, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, deserves a ton of grace, it's Willie Green. As look at these lineups he's tossed out there, I mean, it's like G League stuff, role players, guys who aren't household names, let alone notable NBA players. So this guy, for the majority of his time in New Orleans, being above 500 making the playoffs, minus Zion Williamson, is actually a massive achievement.
Yes! That's awesome!
And all that stuff right there, the context of Willie Green being a good coach, all that is fine and well. But at the end of the day, what does it come down to? The players being healthy, available, and on the court. Zion and Ingram at this point, they're almost a tag team duo. As start the year, one of them will be healthy, play 5 to 7 games, get hurt, tag the next guy in, he'll play 10 games, then get hurt, tag him back, and then vice versa goes on for the entire season. These two guys as a duo, there's not really a definitive take, do they work, do they not, because quite frankly, they haven't been healthy enough to reach that verdict. And looking at one last very damning stat, the Zion Ingram duo, games played together by season, here's the totals. 2022, 0. 23, 12, 24, 55, and this year, only 6. Out of the possible 284 games they could have played together, they've only played 73. Percentage-wise, 25.7.
But wait! There's more!
And here's one last damning stat, the cherry on top, to really send it home. Consecutive games played as a duo, these two together haven't reached above 12 in 4 consecutive years. When it comes to Zion Williamson, look, I've got nothing against the guy, I don't know him personally, but at this point, I'm just a massive skeptic and just a non-believer. Because again and again and again, try to invest in this team, give them attention, then out of nowhere they burn you, hurt, injured, not playing. And that Zion dunk versus the Timberwolves, I mean, of course, a top 10 play ESPN highlight every day of the week. When I see plays like that, I just, back mind, I start thinking, that clock is ticking. Is it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, before this guy gets hurt again and is out of lineup?
It's only a matter of time.
And look, this guy is, 24 years old now? Theoretically, in his physical prime, his apex as a player. Remaining healthy, remaining in shape, only gets harder from here on out. So Zion's overall durability, his health, I just think he's one of those guys who's not going to age well. And one last thing I do want to do to kind of put Zion into perspective, looking at the draft class just before Zion Williamson 2018, that draft class was absolutely loaded. Luka Doncic, who's already made a finals, makes first-team All-NBA virtually every single season. You had SGA, a possible MVP, Jalen Brunson, a great playoff performer, as well as Trae Young, the NBA's assist leader. Those guys were drafted 1 year prior to Zion Williamson, and accolades-wise, team winning-wise, have lapped this dude over and over again. And looking at Zion's own draft class, I mean, this dude in games played out of the first round ranks 26th out of 30 behind Ty Jerome.
Who?
And compared to John Morant, the second pick in that draft, trails been in playoff wins, appearance, as well as games played. Basically, where Zion at this point hasn't played one playoff game in his career. There's so many guys drafted in Zion's own draft class, even 1 or 2 years after him, who have lapped him over and over again. Whether it be Ja, Anthony Edwards, a Tatum, SGA, and there's tons of guys, even a Cade Cunningham at this point, more upside and potential than someone like Zion. And of course, being the next face of the NBA, that's been passed from Zion Williamson directly to Victor Wembanyama. So that right there is the end of the video. And look, Zion Williamson, I wish him all the best, but seeing these dunks, these highlight plays, just gotta wonder, how long until he's injured and hurt? I'm gonna give him maximum 25 games played this year. I doubt he'll crack 30. At this point, hope for the best, expect the worst, and just keep on rolling. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.